Hello there everyone and welcome to a new review on the channel, and today we are going to be looking at a brilliant product that I wish I had gotten sooner. I did get it close-ish to release, but the postal strikes did delay the delivery of this of almost 2.5 months. But that is Illumination by Luc Jermay, a show-stopping book test. Now, before we even get into the review, I will tell you that this is phenomenal, and this is one of, if not the best book test that I've ever purchased, and that I will replace all the other book tests that I do with this one for specific reasons in specific scenarios, because it won't work in all scenarios. So we're going to dissect all of that right after the intro. Perfect. So you decide to stick around, which means you want to learn more about Illumination. So what is Illumination? Illumination is a 3-phase book test where you're going to be able to reveal a spectator's interpretation of a passage of the book. You're going to reveal a spectator's kind of hearing of what is happening in the book in a very interesting way through kind of spectator interaction. And then you're going to reveal another spectator's thought of long word in a very interesting way as well. Now, the best way, I would really encourage you, because it is available on YouTube, go watch the 15-minute performance of the effect so you really get an idea of what you're getting. Because I can't do this. I don't have 3 spectators. I don't have a crowd with me. And I'm not going to perform it to just the camera and invisible people. So I can't really do a performance for you. But there is a 15-minute performance of the man himself, Luc Jermay, performing this to a live audience in a crowd. Go watch it and you'll see what I mean by it being so different to everything else. So now that you know what it is, let's talk about where you buy this, how much does it cost, and what do you get. So you can buy this directly from Vanishing Ink or from associate magic dealers. You can get this from ALAKAZAM Magic, which is where I got it from myself, or you can buy it from any other dealer that will stock this, maybe your local magic store or Monster Magic, Penguin Magic, etc. A lot of these mainstay stores and local stores will probably have this in stock for you. In terms of price, it will set you back 99 USD, which is around 130 Canadian dollars. And what you get with your purchase is this. You're going to get this really thick and beautifully looking packaging that is going to house inside a few things. Let me just make sure that I don't have the instructions on the top, okay? So you're going to get this hard shell box. Inside, you're going to get a beautiful presentation. You're going to get a foam cover with 2 books. I'll take these books out for you. So I'll show them to you in a moment. And then you also get this, which is the instructions. So in this, you're going to get the instructions. The instructions run for around an hour, but within that hour, you have a small introduction and the performance, which is around 20 minutes or so. So really, the tutorial and the explanation is around 40 minutes, but Luc Jermay will go over everything that you need to know to perform the effects. He's going to give you tips, tricks, ideas, presentational hooks, and everything that you would ever need in order to perform it. It is fantastic, and it passes by like this. I personally love Luc Jermay's work. He's kind of my inspiration when it comes to magic. I love all of his work, all of his effects, all of his thinking, his storytelling, etc. So this is no different. So listening to him talk for 40 minutes about this went by super quickly and relatively easy to learn as well. We're going to talk about that in a moment because it may not look easy to some, but it is pretty easy to learn as well. So you're gonna get the tutorial, you're gonna get this big box with the books, and I'll also show you the books here as well. You're gonna get a book called The Legacy. It looks like this, and you can see it is well printed, it looks nice, it looks as it's supposed to do. It just looks like you pick this up from your local Barnes & Nobles or from your local, here in Canada, your Indigo or your Chapters. Same for this one, City of Blood. Looks like your usual book that you could just buy and pick up at your local bookstore or it doesn't really look like a thrifted book, so you can't really say that, except if you start like beating it up yourself, but it does look new. So I would say I got these from Indigo while coming to the show or whatever. But you're going to get these 2 books. They're softback, but they are pretty big and pretty thick, really well produced and really well made. And they will allow you to do basically everything that you need to do without worrying about almost anything, okay? So this is what you get with your purchase of Illumination. So now that we know that, let's talk about difficulty. So how difficult is Illumination to perform? Now, from what you saw from the actual performance, if you decided to watch it, is you're gonna think that, oh, this is actually much more difficult than it may actually be. But it is not, because the books do almost all of the work for you in terms of getting the sound in the spectator's head, in terms of getting the image and the imagery in the other spectator's head, and getting the long word in the other spectator's head. So the books do almost everything for you, but there is going to be work on your side in order to make it believable and interesting and managing your spectators, because that is the most important part about a book test that uses and relies on principles such as this one and these ones, essentially, because there's multiple principles going around here. You need to manage your spectators correctly. You're going to need to have good audience management and work with your spectators in an interesting way, because you don't want them to start flicking through the book and reading multiple pages. You won't want them to inspect the book for too long, even though they shouldn't, because they are on stage and they are being talked to you and to the other audience members and the other spectators, so they're kind of engaged in conversation, so they shouldn't. But you do need to make sure that you cover certain bases, and you need to also make sure that they read where they're supposed to read. You don't want to be blatant and be like, okay, open the book and start reading from right here. But you also don't want to say, open a book and start reading anywhere, because they're maybe going to just look somewhere else and start reading a small passage at the bottom, but you want them to start reading where they should be reading. So that is, again, I'm saying a bit here, but you do want to make sure that you manage them correctly for both spectators, and then you also need to have a good interaction with your audience in order to do the auditory part. You're not obliged to do it. You can just read their mind if you want to. And for the last part, which is the word reveal, that one will require some memory work or a crib that you can make yourself at home, okay? So there is quite a few things here, and I would say that even though this is easy, this is definitely not beginner or a beginner intermediate. I say you need to be a bit seasoned in terms of doing mentalism. So I would say intermediate, middle of intermediate to advanced in order to do this routine, purely because of the prowess that you need in order to manage your spectators, make the reveals impactful, and make them strong, and make it seem interesting. Because you just don't want to go like, open the book, read it, you're thinking exactly of this. This is not what this offers. You really need to make it interesting, interact with the spectators, and actually put them in the book. That's one thing that I love. I say, I want you to imagine you're a character. You're thinking of one of the characters, because there's multiple characters in the story, that in the part of the book that you read, correct? But your character is warmer than the other, and you do this, and it actually reveals more because you're playing with their imagination and they're building another story based on what they read. So you can play around with that. So that is to say, in a long-winded way, that this is intermediate kind of to advanced level in order to get the biggest punch that you want from this effect. In terms now of practicality, well, this is not a close-up piece. This is not a close-up book test. This is not your usual, I'm going to go through, say, at any page, say stop, look at the word. This is not that. There's not neither one of these where you say perfect, take a look at the first word, excellent, and you reveal the word. This is not this type of book test. If that is what you want, look at the Zandman book test. They're fantastic. I even own quite a few of them. Look at a AAA book test by Mark Paul. Look at the various Peter Turner projects that I've reviewed in the past that focus on impromptu book kind of reveals with books. Look at the Rachel book test, etc. This is not something that you're going to bring close up to your table hopping gigs. This is something that you need, to bring a pad. You're going to need to bring a pad, a Sharpie, your 2 books, and you're going to need to have that with you in order to do the reveals and the entire routine. So it does pack quite a few things for you, because the books, as I said, aren't thin, they're pretty big. So these will require a lot of carrying capacity in order to perform. But again, this wasn't meant for close-up performances. This was meant for parlor, cabaret, or stage, all right? In terms of angles, the angles are 360 degrees. In terms of reset, it resets instantly. You will not be able to perform this to the same group of people. I think that is a bit obvious, but you will not be able to do it to the same group of people again. So that is something to keep in mind. So yes, the reset is instant, but you won't be able to redo it. You do not necessarily need a table for this. You can just have the books in your case and take them out. No table is needed because the spectators will be standing anyway. You don't need a table. In terms of examinability, the books are in the spectator's hands, which makes them technically examinable. That's a debate for the ages, whether a spectator having something in their hands for the entire routine, but not really examining it is it being examined, if you know what I mean. That's kind of the debate that's happening now with Big Blind by Craig Petty, which I'll have a review of soon. But overall, the books are not examinable. So you cannot have a spectator like other book tests actually start reading the book, because the book is not necessarily readable in that sense. Both of them are not readable. So I would say they're not examinable, but they shouldn't really need to be, because you're in control when you're in parlor and stage or cabaret settings. Now let's talk about where do you perform the effect. I think I've already said it, so I'm not going to blabble and yap more about this. It is designed for parlor, stage, cabaret. This is not designed for close-up or any way of a casual performance, mix and mingle or anything like that. It is designed to have 3 spectators on stage and a crowd of a few people. It needs to be at least those 3 spectators on stage and maybe 5 or 6 more. Luke Jermay says that the lowest count that he's ever performed this to is around 10 to 15 spectators, no less. So you have to keep that in mind. If you want to pick this up, you're going to need to perform it at least for 10 or more spectators, okay? Having covered all of those bases, what are the positives and negatives of Illumination? There are some negatives to Illumination, don't get me wrong. As much as I love this and as much as I'm going to give it an insanely high mark, there are some negatives. Is the books are not examinable, they're not readable, you need at least 10 or plus spectators for this. Where you perform the effect is specific to certain type of performing scenarios, which a lot of you will not necessarily have all the time, such as myself. I do shows where I'll be able to perform this, but not as often as, for example, some other effects that I do at weddings or mix and mingles or birthday parties, etc. Right? So that's to keep in mind. And you do have to carry quite a bit in order to actually perform it, but it does play for 15 minutes, okay? Now that you know that, let's get into the positives. 1, you're getting a lot of material for your money. The instructions are fantastic. The packaging is great. The books are extremely well produced. The routining is amazing. It sets itself apart from every other book test on the market, in my opinion, because as I said, you're not just revealing a word, you're revealing a memory, you're revealing a sound, and then you're revealing a word through images, which is fantastic. It sets itself apart. It is a step forward in the world of book tests. With just this routine, you can get 15 minutes. So imagine you get booked for a 45-minute show. This single routine will cover 15 minutes of your 45-minute show, which is fantastic to have. And especially because it's not 15 minutes where you're just talking, you're actually revealing and doing amazing things during those 15 minutes. And it's incredibly well priced, I feel, as well, for the amount of magic, mentalism that you're getting from this. So overall, would I recommend the Illumination book test? If you're someone that has the opportunity to perform parlor, stage, or cabaret, buy this book test. It is better than the book test you're already doing, and I'm going on a whim saying that because I feel that if it fits your personality, if it fits your persona, it is, I think, one of the best book tests if you're really into that mental reading, mentalism vibe. Of course, if you're someone that does family entertainment and right before this effect, you're juggling Rubik's Cubes to solve them in the air and you're doing hippity hop rabbits, maybe doing this is not the best idea for your parlor stage show, if you know what I mean, right? But if you are into this like deep connection, mentalism type performance style, I think this is much better than the classic here, peek a word, remember it. Here, peek a word, remember it. You're both thinking of words and revealing the words. I think this is much better. So overall, would I recommend Illumination? Yes, if it fits your characteristics. Because as I said, if you're a table hopping performer and a wedding performer, you will never be able to perform this. So if that's your bread and butter and you only do those type of events, don't buy this. You will not be able to use it. I'm being honest with you regarding that. However, if you can use it, I think it is the best, one of the best, if not the best book test that I personally own or that I have seen. And because of that, I'm giving Illumination a 10 on 10. I think it is fantastic. I think it is brilliant. I think it is phenomenal. And I think it is actually a step forward in the world of book tests. So that was a long-winded way of saying that Illumination is great. If you have any additional questions, leave them down below. If not, I'll see you all in my next review. Have a good one. and bye-bye.